Welcome, Uncle Sugar's Magic Circus. You know, this is L'chaim. This is going to be an interesting episode because we're actually starting to get fan mail that's asking for very specific topics. Okay, and Keith, we got an email from a kid who's thinking about going to boot camp, and he wanted to know some stuff about going to boot camp.
So this is from Nico SS77. Makes one wonder. Can you do a video on how to prepare for boot camp and how to be the guide or platoon honor graduate upon graduation? Thank you very much. It's a good question.
No, it's a great question.
Yeah.
And here's the thing about boot camp. First of all, it's a long process and it's really hard.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's a mental game more really than it is a physical game, honestly. Yeah. So the first thing I would say would be a great recommendation would be to go with a sense of humility, right?
Yep.
The idea that you're going to go in there and you're going to wreck shop and you're going to be number one, it's a good goal, but you're going to find out very quickly that it's a team event.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to make some friends along the way.
Exactly. Right? That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
So what we did was Keith has a friend, Tommy Maldonado. He's a retired gunnery sergeant. He's a former HAT, what we call a HAT, which is a drill instructor. Mm-hmm. And we thought, who would be better to come and talk to us about how to prepare for boot camp and things that might happen at boot camp, and of course tell some funny stories, because that's what we did here, about recruits and boot camp and things like that, than Tommy. Tommy will go by Doki as a nickname?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll call you Doki then.
Yeah.
Tell us how you got in the Marine Corps. I always start with how you get in the Marine Corps because everybody's got a really interesting story usually.
Well, my uncle and I had a couple other family members that was a Marine. But when I first met my uncle and I saw him in his uniform, I was like, that was it. I want to be one of those guys.
Yeah, man.
So it started out, I was like in a program where they held me back for a year because they were waiting for my MOS to go. Mm-hmm. But once I got my MOS, I should have came in 95, but I came in 96 instead.
So you were Poolee during that time?
Yeah.
So people were preparing you for a year to go to boot camp too.
Right.
Hopefully.
So
I would, on your recruiter.
Well, that's the next thing I was going to say is listen to the guys that are trying to prepare you to go to boot camp. That would be good advice, usually, right?
So, I mean, there was a lot of PT sessions, pull-ups, running, and that did help. I mean, what really helped, though, is because I was a wrestler in high school, so I was already in pretty good shape. But the mentalness, that helped a lot, too. Yeah. Learning and talking to other people, you start meeting other guys that are already just graduated recruiting, and they're helping their recruiter, so they will talk and I'll ask questions, and that's how I ended up going in there.
And they got the freshest information about what's going on at boot camp. Mm-hmm. Boot camp does change over the years. It's not a lot. The structure of it stays the same. Right? The psychology of the place is the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rules change and they get more strict on some things or other things. But so what was your MOS when you were in the Marine Corps, Doki?
I was a 6153. So that is an aircraft, hydraulic, metalsmith, mechanic.
Yeah. On what aircraft?
On CH-53 Echoes.
Nice.
The big guys.
Yeah, Sea Stallions.
Now you might want to elaborate on it a little bit. You didn't just fix airplanes. What else did you do on those airplanes?
So as time went on, and once you master your craft, fixing aircraft, they let you do other MOSs. So I moved into a crew chief, which is, and then I started learning the guns. So I learned the 50 cal that we have on there. We had the XM218 at first. And then we moved to the XM21, the GAL 21, and I ended up being, like, right towards I was retiring, I was a tail gunner for a while. Because you move yourself around in each position and you learn the position.
How many gunners are on the plane for our audience?
There's 3.
Yep.
Okay. 3 total.
And how many combat tours you do?
4.
Okay.
Yeah, 4.
Wow, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
So, as a dish, so you're still a mechanic when you're a crew chief too, right?
Yes.
So you're still fixing the plane. So now the planes are going on deployments or you're going and doing missions or whatever. If the plane breaks en route, you got to have your tools with you. You got to be ready to do some combat freaking maintenance too, right?
Yes, sir.
Protect the plane and fix the plane, get the plane back out and rolling.
Yep.
And the Earth Pigs don't like that because we land in the middle of nowhere. And what do you mean the plane's broken? What?
Right. Yeah.
Well,
it's an
you
interesting business.
You got crew chiefs that are just crew chiefs. And, they don't have that mechanic sense on it yet.
Yeah.
So they love having the ingrown or the house-grown guys like me that have, a sense of fixing things also while we're out there shooting and stuff.
And so any MOS within that squadron could go through the process of becoming a crew chief, right? So you could be an avionics guy and work on the electronic systems. You could be a power plants guy, work on engines. You could be a hydraulics metalsmith. What else? Any of the like admin guys can do it?
Even admin guys can join too.
Look at that.
Yep.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
And then they go through a training syllabus where they're learning all about how the weapons work and stuff like that, right?
They learn weapons. They learn the plane, the specific things we got to do as far as circuit breakers. You know, if they pop, what we need to do. Emergency situations. They go through the same training we all go through. The dunker is the big one.
Yeah. Yeah, we did that in another episode. We did a McQuist episode, and we talked about the dunker. But all the guys who fly have to go through that training in order to learn how to get out of the plane if it ends up in the water, right?
Yeah.
Yep, that's good.
Earth pigs too now.
Yeah.
They put the earth pigs through it.
Yeah.
It started when I was in recon. It started with the recon guys because the inserts were deep, and so your chances go up exponentially of something going badly.
Yeah. And in the '90s, they lost a whole platoon. That I think it was a 46 that crashed.
It was 99. It was right after I retired because I knew two of the guys on that plane. One of the guys was in recon with me, Sergeant Ski, and another guy, the crew chief, grew up down the street from me.
Oh wow!
And they couldn't figure out how the crew chief didn't get out because he has his air bottle. But it flew into the side of a ship and they're doing fast rope.
Yeah.
Pilot came in too low and caught the landing gear on a 46 in the nets.
Yeah.
I remember
There's
that.
a famous video.
I was sitting there in my Batman underwear eating my Wheaties on a Saturday morning and Marine Times showed up. And I was looking at him like, you gotta be fucking shitting me. Chrissy's like, what's wrong?
Yeah.
It's fucked up.
Yeah. So you did tours. How many tours as a aviation mech?
I fully became, and I got my wings in 2000.
Okay.
So since 2000 to the time I retired in 16, I've been flying.
And then somewhere in there you decided you want to do a B-billet. Did you get screened for it, or did you decide you were going to go do drill instructor duty?
Back then there was no you're going this and that. I chose to do that.
Nice.
And that was because of my drill instructors. I remember them. And ever since I saw them come out, I was like, I want to be one of them guys. So, I worked my way up. And it was a hard process for me because in my MOS, when you have so many skills, it's harder to leave.
Oh, yeah.
So I submitted, after so many years, you get a chance to say, hey, I want to do this.
Yeah.
I used that up so I can do that. And sure enough, I finally got orders and I'll tell you what, when I drove in there for the first time, I thought I was shitting my pants.
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap, I haven't been here since I was a recruit.
Now, did you go to Paris Island or San Diego?
Paris Island.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to Paris Island too.
Yeah.
Thing is going back, and we'll talk about this on another show, but going back, even once I got commissioned and became an officer, going back was like, it still creeps you out. I mean, I still get nervous when I get down.
You're waiting for somebody to start screaming.
Yeah, because you get so used to getting yelled at by drill instructors.
Yeah.
So, tell us about the school. How long was the school to become a drill instructor? And then I know a little bit about it because I went through it, right? But there's different kinds of drill instructors, right? There's the guys who are junior when they're first getting started, and then you have like a progression of drill instructor duties and responsibilities. So talk to us a little bit about those things.
Okay, so when I did come in, the school is 13 weeks, just like the boot camp.
Yeah.
But it's almost in fast forward mode.
Okay.
Like we're constantly going through things, the syllabus so much faster than a recruit would. The training and the PT is intense.
Mm-hmm.
It's every day, every morning. And then, but the classes alone, they're just teaching you about the SOP or what we can and what we cannot do to recruit. That's the most important thing. That's like our Bible, our guidebook on becoming a successful drill instructor. And then teach backs. That's the other thing, is that we have to learn the drill manual by verbatim in memory, which I had a hard time because I can't remember nothing. And I had stories like, I was dating Susan at the time, and Susan came down and she would help me study, and I would get mad at her, and I'm like, get out of here. Like, how do you remember this in like 2 hours, and I'm still having trouble with this? So,
make you the drill instructor.
Yeah.
You know what you need? You needed one of those little headsets, those little microphone headsets, and she could be like in your ear telling you like,
Tommy, column left, you jackass.
What they had to memorize was like, you had to read back to the instructors there, like every piece and step of every piece of drill. So it'd be like, a column left is, you know, the first man in the first section of the first column.
Yeah,
is one
stepping
step
over 30
30.
step a little bit.
It's like you memorize all the pieces and parts and you have to do that verbatim, right?
Verbatim.
In order
And
to
there's
pass.
3 books.
It's a lot of memorization.
Yeah, and like I said, that was one of my trouble things to do.
That's hard.
It is. For most people, it's hard. Some
Yeah.
guys, you know, they read it, they go to the bar and hang out, come back.
They're good.
Oh my God, man,
Don't you
I'm
hate those sons of
stressing out.
bitches?
Yeah.
But it was good. I finally got it, and you know, and once you learn the first paragraph, it pretty much, you know, goes in flow.
Yeah.
So, and then the 3 paragraphs after that, you know, it's easy.
Okay.
So
then you usually a junior drill instructor hits the street with a new platoon, right? And you're the fresh guy on the block. And what kind of duties do they have you do there?
okay, so how they break it down, you got the junior hat, and then you got the heavy is what we call them, and then you got your senior drill instructor. The junior hat usually is the one that's the disciplinarian, and he also teaches all the knowledge.
Okay.
So that was my thing. So I was always constantly correcting, screaming, running around, catching kids, and then, you know, when the senior drill instructor puts the leash on me and says, "Here, you got to teach them some knowledge." Cool. So they'll put them in a classroom, you know, setting, and I'll start teaching some knowledge on them, and then I have to get them prepared for their test. So, and that's our biggest thing. So the higher grade as a whole, as a platoon, gets, that's better on me. That means that, you know,
that's a direct reflection of how well you're doing if the platoon does well.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of graded events too, right? So you got drill is one of them. I know
Drill's one of them. They got their academics is
Yep.
one, which is a big one. Their physical fitness is a big one.
Okay.
And that's a lot of it with the junior hat too, is making sure they're physically fit. I mean, that's a whole as a team, but that's what our job is as well.
Yeah.
So hopefully they just watch what we're doing, because we're actually doing a lot of work, running around, screaming. I mean, they think that's something common. No, that's a lot of work to do.
Did you lose your voice? You lost your voice when you were
Lost it a lot.
Yeah.
And then that's where that frog voice comes from.
Come here, you.
Yes.
Hey.
Which
Now-
they all have.
Yeah.
I hated the frog voice.
Right.
But when you lose your voice, that's the only way they can figure out what you're saying.
Right.
Because that's the only way they can hear the pronunciation of what you're telling them to do.
Uh-huh.
Because it's dangerous. Because if we're going to get down to Boulevard de France and we got to come over that road, they have to listen, you know, dude, halt, you know, and if they don't hear you, they'll keep going.
Yeah.
And they're done.
Yeah.
So a car was coming. I didn't get told to stop, you know?
Yeah.
So
all right. So after you do it some time as a junior hat, then you might become the heavy, right? So how does that work? What's a heavy do? What are their responsibilities?
So you'll get selected to be a heavy once they realize that you've got the basic daily routine down, and you are capable of controlling the recruits on your own, and you have the knowledge to start teaching them other stuff besides just academics.
So I noticed that there's times in boot camp where it seems like there's 20 drill instructors yelling at everybody, and then there's other times where it seems like the whole platoon is being controlled by one guy.
Yeah.
That guy would have been the heavy, huh?
Yeah, I was the heavy probably for six of my cycles.
Okay.
So I'm pretty familiar being a heavy.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of work. The heavy teaches them everything. Teaches them how to dress. Teaches them how to, you know, put their gear together. Teaches them how to make their bed. Teaches them knowledge when the younger hat is out doing other stuff for the senior or whatever.
But you think about that, you know, because of the socioeconomic diversity in this country, you got to teach kids how to brush their teeth, how to shave, how to, like when you know, as you know, dress themselves. You're not kidding.
Yeah.
Like how to goddamn get dressed and not look like a bag of shit.
So, all right, quick story, and this is true. I'm sad, but it's a true story. We had a kid who he'd never been naked. Like he knows what I'm talking about, right? There's this happens. He took showers with PT gear on, and the kid stunk. Like it was bad. Like they had to teach him that he had to take his actual pants off, and his shirt off to take a shower. I don't know if it was religious or what. I just peripherally, we just knew that this guy.
There's all sorts of screwy things you run into.
Yeah, really weird.
Well, the shower thing is one of the funniest things you can ever deal with recruits. I mean, I could tell you a really funny story when I was a recruit, and I'll never forget it because I've never seen anybody else do this but me. Nobody else has the same story. So we're in the showers, and drill instructor's standing by the door, and he's telling everybody, "Get out, get out." So I'm the last guy to shut off all the showers. So I'm running. I didn't want to be like that last guy. I want to be fast enough to be right behind. And these flip flops they give us.
Shower shoes.
I took that 90 degree
So
turn.
cheap.
Oh God! And I slipped and fell. Towel came off, and I'm like right there by the drill instructor, and all I see is my dick on his boot. And he's like, "Get that thing off of me!" And I'm like, I get up, and I'm running. I almost fell again. So, and I said, "Does that ever happen to anybody else?" And I'm like, I guess it was just me. So.
What I remember, I didn't know this was going to be a shower episode, but apparently it is now. I remember one time, because I don't know why, and maybe you can explain some of these things, but it's just drill instructors get weird sometimes, and so they turn all the hot water on.
They get bored.
Or cold water, depends on the day.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to get in it. So you get this cluster of naked dudes in the middle of one big shower because it's, for those who don't know, it's like a communal shower with showers. Think prison movies, it's like that.
Yeah.
It's just shower heads
It's a
around
high
the
school
room.
shower.
Yeah,
You know.
but it's just a big tiled room, and you're just there, and so everybody's like trying not to touch each other. Get off me! But they also don't want to get in the hot or cold water. You know what I mean? So it's like this little ball of like people are just like. So it's just a really weird circumstance. There's no doors on the toilet, so you're like trying to take a dump right next to a guy. There's just no privacy. There's no privacy.
But yeah, I mean, you just get used to it,
Yeah.
and after a few weeks, and obviously you see this, and having gone through OCS in my case, you reach that point where everything's normal.
Yeah.
The shower thing's
Yeah.
normal, and then everything starts becoming fun.
Well.
So I wrote down a couple things to tell Nico, right? So Nico, check this out, man, and anybody else who's thinking about going to boot camp. I got 3 rules. This is Sal's rules, right? 3 things you got to do to be successful at boot camp. 1, learn the new language. This is my experience, right?
Definitely.
2, find the task. And what I mean by that is the whole point of boot camp is they're trying to create a chaotic environment. And they're trying to evaluate whether you have the ability to function in the chaotic environment. Because that's the best you can do to simulate the chaos of combat.
And that's all we're trying to do.
And if everything you do in boot camp, if you're just trying to find what the task is you're supposed to do, you can ignore the chaos because you know what you're supposed to be doing. So,
Yeah.
for example, I'll just give you a simple example, right? Everybody's running around like crazy. Could get online,
Yeah.
right? There's a simple task there. One of the first things you learn as a recruit is the get online order, which
Yeah.
is
And
everybody get online in alphabetical order in front of their shit
Yeah.
and stand at the position of attention. All right, so that's the task. So don't worry about all the chaos. Just figure out what the task is and go do that task.
Yep.
And the last thing I'd say is execute every task with the purpose, with the full intensity. That is the most important thing that you've ever done.
Yeah.
Clean the toilet. I'm going to clean the toilet like I got to eat out of it when I'm done.
Yeah.
Right? Scrub the floor, make the bed, do a pull-up, whatever it is. You just do it, execute it with purpose. I think that's pretty good advice. Is there
That's
anything that you
excellent
might
advice.
add to that?
I mean, staying consistent on what you're doing. What he's telling you to do, you just stay consistent with it and don't give up.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're trying to do.
Your
We're
goal
trying
is to
see
make
if
them
you're gonna
quit.
tap out.
Yeah.
Yes. And if you don't tap out and you make it, I mean, the drill instructors will see the difference in the recruits. We'll know if you're just playing the game, and we'll know if you're actually serious at what you're doing. And if you're playing the game, we're gonna know, and we're gonna make you feel the pain for that.
And then the shark attack begins.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because they smell blood in the water, and it's a thing of beauty to watch.
It is.
They
So-
come out of the woodwork, they pop out of the ground,
Yeah.
they slither down the goddamn drain pipes and buildings you can't even see, and next thing you know, there's 12 drill instructors around, somebody in there just...
So I say learn the language because first of all, recruits have to speak in third person, which is awkward as hell.
Yeah.
You don't say, I want to go do this. It has to be this recruit requests permission to go, and then you got to learn all the new names for things because everything that you're used to having a name for has new names.
Bulkhead, overhead, deck,
Portal. Scuttlebutt.
Yeah.
Like, it's just craziness, right? So you gotta learn. You gotta learn
Yeah,
a new
port and
language.
starboard, which, I
Yeah.
gotta like, which one is what? What
Yeah.
again? What?
Don't let us show you.
What am I, fucking Popeye? I don't fucking know port from starboard.
And so these things like are so clearly and evident to a drill instructor, right? Like the movement. I remember standing out in formation in Paris Island in the summer with the sand fleas, right? So the bugs there are horrible. And they're biting you. We just got really good at like trying to sneak a hand up so you could scratch her neck or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? And you think you're being slick as hell, right? Nobody can see me. But somehow the drill instructor was always right there yelling at you. Right?
That hat coming in the side of your head.
Yep. How
Or
easy
you hear the
is it to see
scream from-
recruits doing shit wrong? How easy is it?
It's very easy, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. I mean, my peripheral vision got even better out there. I can be looking over here and I can see a movement because everybody else is trying to stay still, and you see this little squirming, but you'll see that one guy bring his arm up, and
Yep.
you're like, oh, what? And you'll know exactly what freaking row he's in too. And then you just notice his face, and he's like, yep, that was you. You want to scratch? Let's go to the pit.
Yeah, so talk about the pit a little bit, because that's something that I
What's
think
the pit, Uncle Tommy?
Yeah, 'cause I think if you haven't ever been there and you don't understand what happens at boot camp, that the first time that ever happens to you, I think it can be a bit of a shock. So talk about the pit.
Well, the pit is, let's put it this way. If you were a young kid and you were used to playing in a sandbox, you're going to hate it after this. Because it's basically a giant sandbox for a whole platoon to fit in. And that's when the senior drill instructor can take the whole platoon.
That's
or
like, what, 80 guys? 100
could be
guys?
80. First and second battalion usually have like over 100 when we first
Okay.
pick up. Third battalion now can do it
Okay.
because they got a new building. But before, they can only hold about 70, 75.
Okay.
But yeah, we can hold the whole platoon in there, or the other drill instructors will take onesies and twosies, and basically we'll have you do a bunch of exercises, and you'll be covered head to toe in sand, and you'll spend the whole day like that.
Yep.
Just
And you get
because
sweaty. So the
sweaty,
sand really sticks to you.
scratchy,
Think sugar
itchy.
cookie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's one of our ways of disciplining you when you are not listening or doing something you're not supposed to be doing.
And that leads me to another question. Like, so one of the interesting things I found about boot camp, I say interesting. It's interesting now in retrospect, right?
Right.
When you were going through it, it's one of the most frustrating things in the world, and that is the idea of collective punishment, right? So this is one of the reasons why I told Nico in the beginning of this episode, like, why you need to be humble, and you got to think about a team-based event. Everything is
Yeah.
team-based, because if you mess up, everybody in the
Everybody pays
platoon is
for it.
going to pay for it.
And they'll be kind enough to point out to the rest of the platoon that Private Salerno is a fucking asshole, can't keep from scratching his balls.
Right.
So let's all do 10,000 push-ups in the pit.
Right, and you'll learn quickly that it's, the whole platoon has to function as a platoon, or at least the squad has to function as a squad, or at least the
Right.
fire team has to function, depending on the task, or you're all going to pay the price. Is that right?
Yeah, and that's our way of forcing you guys to work together. If one kid is falling behind and putting his gear on to get on the platoon, another kid should be helping you to get there. And eventually he'll learn, but it should be a team effort,
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
And that's how we force that into them.
So that is a good segue into, because we talk about, like, it's easy to see when people are fucking up. It's also easy to see when people are doing the right stuff. So what are some of those right things that you see, and the drill instructor is able to go, hey, that kid's got something special?
Yeah.
Yeah, when the biggest thing we see is when a kid's not thinking about himself all the time. When he's helping other recruits, or he's just doing stuff on his own. Once he gets the gist of things, he's doing it on his own. Like, they're waking up earlier than waiting for us to wake them up. They're still in the rack, but they're waiting. They're waiting for us to get them online, and they're ready to go. Not like teary-eyed and stretching and taking their time. No, they're starting to get it, and some of those kids pick it up real quick because they know this is something they want, and that's the difference between a kid wanting to be a Marine and a kid just, damn, I'm still thinking about this. This sucks,
Right.
So.
Yeah, because boot camp is a lot of I mean, I've heard the expression many times, but it kind of fits. It's embracing the suck.
Yeah.
It's
Sometimes, there's storms there too, aren't there? I've seen storms in squad base before. What happens when a storm hits? Say someone, I don't know, leaves their wall locker open or their foot locker, or perhaps their racks aren't all made properly. What happens, Uncle Tommy?
All right. Well, there is a storm, and it's called a drill instructor tornado, or blizzards come in, or something. Hurricane is probably the best one, since we get hurricanes here in the South a lot. But yes, if we find a lock unlocked, a rack that's not made properly, or anything that's not supposed to. Everybody's supposed to look the same.
Yeah.
And the first one will come through, and the heavy will get his ass punched in.
Yeah.
When shit is not right.
Yeah.
So shit rolls downhill. And it's like, good.
And the privates are at the bottom of that hill.
You guys want to make me look bad? Cool. So yes, you'll have the drill instructors, and you guys are going to be watching this. We'll run around, we'll flip stuff over, we'll throw your rack probably out the window.
Literally.
And you'll come back and you'll see just shambles of stuff and everybody's stuff in a pile, and then you have a certain amount of time to put it back to place. And that's another disciplinary action of leaving locks unlocked. Security is a big thing. Obviously, they have weapons.
Yeah.
And, and making sure they make their rack right. That's the big thing.
I don't know what happened, but there was like 40 unsecured foot lockers in the company.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I don't know, it was very early in the program.
Okay.
They locked all the locks together in a big pile.
Nice.
One of the drill instructors took it,
Ball of locks.
all the locks, and threw it into the street. So you
Oh,
motherfuckers have 30 seconds to find your locks.
So there you are.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
And of course, it didn't happen in time, so you do some PT in it. And every once in a while, somebody get the right lock. And you don't know if your lock's even in the pile,
Yeah.
Right.
because they won't let you in the building, which they are now destroying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one to lock.
So I'd say another piece of advice is you're never going to be right while you're there. So
So
nobody's
live with
gonna,
it. Nothing's ever
if
good
you
enough.
if you're doing everything right, nobody will tell you anything, and sometimes they'll still yell at you anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
So it's like your feedback loop becomes really weird. If you're no offense to millennials, but if you're a young kid like nowadays and you're used to getting a lot of positive feedback in your life, you're going to find this to be a challenge, because what's going to happen is you're only going to get negative feedback for doing things that are fucked
The
up.
best you can hope for is no feedback.
But if you're getting no feedback, you're probably doing okay. Is that pretty accurate?
That's accurate.
Right? Talk about the gray man, just
you're
kind
under
of
that zone,
blending in, just being one of the team,
Yep.
So what's we all know stupid shit happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us some funnier things you've seen down there.
God, where can I start?
Well, Sal had a question earlier before we started the show about goofiest thing you've heard a private say. Yeah, you're asking Tommy about that downstairs, about one of the stupid things they say in retrospect because they don't know any better.
Yeah.
Well, the funniest thing is like in the beginning when you tell them that they need to learn the language.
Yeah.
So they're trying to learn the language, but they're also mixing in their civilian language.
Yeah, sure.
So, sir, I want this. No, what?
Yeah.
They mix it all up, and you're just like, what?
What is wrong with you? Yeah.
It's a malfunction.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things. God, and then you got some recruits that barely speak English.
Oh, okay.
And so you got that language barrier mixing in with the Navy terms, and they are messing this shit up. And I know a little bit of Spanish, but I'm like, dude, I don't know what the hell you just said.
So you mix
just made up a
Spanish
language.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Especially when they get scared because they mumble, stumble, fall.
Oh yeah, mumbling, stumbling, and you get some recruits that have like echo. That just stutter a lot, and when they get nervous, they stutter even more.
Yeah.
So we even had a drill instructor that stuttered, and the funny part is when he's angry, he never stuttered.
Okay.
But when he's just talking to you, he stutters, and I'm like, how the hell do you do this, dude?
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
That's hard to overcome.
Well, when Tommy was saying that the hat hides your face, right?
Yes.
Why do you want to hide your face, Tom?
Recruits are funny. Okay? We don't mean to, and I know we're always supposed to be serious, and a lot of times I am, but there's some stuff that you just see them doing, whether it's going in the shower or waking up in the morning and their towels straight up like this. They're still waking up with hard-ons, and I'm like, what's so hard about here? Or recruits, because they didn't go to the head when they're supposed to, and they're online and they're waiting for us, and they just piss themselves without being too scared to ask, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this kid? He's just pissed right on the line,
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's definitely a different lifestyle, and I mean it's changing kids from being civilian status to being under mommy's wing and dad's wing all the time to grow up to take care of these things on their own now.
Yeah.
You know, this won't help Nico at all, but you had your 30 minutes of fame, Nico. Fuck it. But that being said, I remember the first time I was around drill instructors when my brother was on the drill field. And so I went down to Paris Island. They were having an after-series party. So all the drill instructors go over to the lieutenant's house. And they have this big-ass party. You talk about panda fucking monium. These fucking screwballs, they're drinking like Indian savages. They're just out of their minds. Took all the furniture out of my brother and his wife's living room, put it in the front yard so they could have more room to dance. And it's like a potluck. So at one point, this gunny, they had this chicken, and he ate it all the way down to the bones, like in a Three Stooges episode. There's like nothing but the bones. He picked it up, he spread the ribs apart, and put it on like a hockey mask, and was dancing around the house. And I'm like, I love these people. I can't wait to be around these kind of people. Had I known that these guys are also complete savages,
It's grueling,
at work.
man. It's a grueling schedule, is it not?
Very grueling. I probably would, the most I would ever get is 3 hours of sleep if I do go home.
Wow.
Yeah. So I go home, Susan would have dinner.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I first started, I sat down. That was the worst thing to do. Don't sit down because your body will shut off automatically. And it doesn't matter where. It could be out in the middle of the street because you're just so tired. So I sat down, I'm eating, and all of a sudden my face is in the dinner. She's like, "What's wrong with you?" I was like, "Oh, snap, I'm tired. I'm gonna put this away and get my uniforms ready for the next day, and then hit the rack. And then, lo and behold, as soon as you close your eyes, it's time to get up."
Yeah.
So we're heading over there, and we're always there probably about 2 hours prior to the recruits getting up. In this case, there's different changes in the schedule, or to be ready for what we got to do with them.
Which they don't see, and Mr. and Mrs. America doesn't see. They don't realize.
Yeah.
Those guys are day on, stay on. And you have duty every third day, right? Depending on how big your team is.
Yeah, depending on how big. Even if you have a 4-hat team, sometimes that 4th hat, we got to train him to be ready to stay with the recruits on his own.
Oh.
So it could be still 3.
Yeah.
And if a hat gets in trouble or gets sat down, then you're down to 2. So now we're tag teaming.
Yeah.
For 13 weeks.
13 weeks.
Think about that. The mental stress on the
Yeah.
drill instructor, which the privates don't see. Mr. and Mrs. America, when something unfortunately does go wrong, they're like, "Wow, can this happen?"
Yeah.
Well, take a walk in their shoes, shithead,
Yeah.
and see what the stresses they're under, because their career is on the line. They're still trying to make Marines in an institution they love, and they want it to be better.
So you talked about junior drill instructor, and you talked about the heavy. There's one more guy, right? The senior drill instructor.
That is a senior drill
Did
instructor.
you do some times the
I
senior?
did a very short period as senior drill instructor.
Okay.
I actually got in trouble, and then they made me a green hat for the rest of the time I was there.
Okay.
But
So the belts are different, right? The junior and the heavy wear a green belt, and the senior drill instructor wears a black belt.
where's the black belt?
And he's the guy in charge of that platoon.
He's in charge of the platoon. He's also, we kind of call him like, oh, you go see your daddy, because he's like supposed to be the senior guy for the recruits to be able to talk to. Unfortunately, when you've been a green hat for so long, it's hard to transition to that nice guy to talk to recruits.
Okay.
But yes, there is a transition, and they should see that. The recruits will see that this is the guy I need to talk to if I have any problems. Maybe the heavy, depending on how the heavy is, but definitely not the junior. He don't care what your problem is. All he cares about is training you and getting you where you need to be.
I believed in my platoon that my junior hats wanted me to die, and I was pretty sure that my heavy also wanted me to die, but might work with me a little bit if I showed any kind of promise.
Yeah.
And then the senior drill instructor was the guy that if you disappointed him, you felt crushed.
Yeah.
Like when he said, "All right, that's it." When I had one time, and my boot camp time of 13 weeks where the senior drill instructor brought us to the pit, and it was soul crushing. Yeah, he was mad at us because we were very lackadaisical in drill. We were last. We were the bad news bears of drill for sure.
Yay!
Too many so bad you couldn't
was-
send them
it was
to
bad.
medical, huh?
It was bad enough that the senior drill instructor put us in the pit. All right, I should tell you that. But- So those are the 3 kinds of drill instructors. Then there's billets for the kids when they're there. And what's the point of the billets? The leadership billet for the recruits? Why would you have that set up that way?
We have that set up so the kids that actually show some type of leadership ability, or some of them are a little bit older, or they've been to college, they've been doing shit on their own, they're able to deal with those extra duties that they have to do.
Okay.
Everything else could be a little bit easier for them, and so okay, this guy seems like he's promising. Let's put him down as a platoon leader, or the
Squad
leader, and then from there we'll see how he does, and it's on him for his squad. So anything with his squad, but they normally don't get that towards the second phase.
Okay.
That's when they start learning to work together better, and then you'll have some certain recruits like the problem childs that they have to deal with, but we also got to deal with. But that kid starts getting more stressed out.
Yeah.
When we're saying he's not fixed, why not? It's not just our job now; it's your guys' job to fix each other, because y'all know most of the stuff you need to do.
Well, you use a term there. What phases? Maybe discuss that a little bit.
Yeah, you see, you got first phase where the kids are brand new, and they have no boot bands yet. They're still wearing go fasters with their camis, and that's just getting used to with all the walking and the marching we got to do. And then once they get to that second phase, I think it's mainly after they learn their academics. That's when they start getting their boot bands, and they get their boots, and then we'll start moving on from there. They start looking more and more better, in uniform. And then third phase is they should be what we call it, pretty much their own. They're riding on their own.
Yeah, they're self-sufficient.
Self-sufficient, and all we have to do is flick the lights, and they should be already on the line.
Yeah.
They already know what's going on.
Right.
They know chow next. They know how to set up the house. We just give them the time to do it.
So you got, from my memory, right? You got a scribe, you got a house mouse. Well, two. There's usually a couple scribes, a couple house mouse, a squad, 4 squad leaders, and a guide.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other billets I'm not thinking of?
No, well, I mean, art recruit, but that's just stupid stuff.
Now, our recruit, that would be the guy. Like he's talented, and you want him to make your range flag.
Yes.
That's what that's. Yes. Yeah. Okay, I gotcha.
So you get the artist recruit, but the scribe is interesting too, because that kid right there, I mean, he's got to write down all the numbers. So once we make sure who we have that's going to chow or going to the next movement, he writes it down for us, and we have these cards. So we say, okay, yeah, we got this many guys. These many guys are at chow hall. Everybody's accountability.
Yeah.
Dental, medical, eyeball doctor. Yeah.
So he writes all that stuff down, and he gets it too. He messes up numbers. You getting it, scribe? The mouse house. He's the one that we call in, and he'll just clean everything up inside the DI's hut and all that. Simple jobs for him. And then the artist recruit, those are important too. There could be more than just one, because there's so many. We might do more than one flag. We might even ask them to do a cover block for us or whatever. But it all depends on how good they draw, and then how much time we can give them to do that stuff. So, but those guys, that's a good job for them. We don't bother them because we don't want them to mess up the flag or anything. So.
Nice.
So if you know how to draw, you probably have a little bit of slack there.
That's cool. And then so one of the specific questions that this guy was asking was like, so who gets meritoriously promoted out of boot camp?
Meritoriously promoted.
Is it usually the guide?
Yes. The guide would usually get it 90% of the time.
Okay.
So he'll get meritoriously promoted, especially if he's been the guide from day one. I mean, that kid deserves that.
Sure.
But sometimes we go from guide to guide to guide because some kids mess up.
Kids get fired.
Yeah, or it just is too stressful for them, and then another kid steps up, and you're like, "Holy crap, where he come from? He's got some good abilities here."
So the guide is the billet. If you guys have ever seen videos of Marines marching, there's always one guy in the front of the platoon who has a flag. Right, that's the guy.
That's the guy.
And he's the base of all drill movements, right? Or most of them.
Most of them.
And he has to know almost as much as the drill instructor about how the drill movements go.
His position changes.
Yeah, he has to know where to go and be at any given time.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of work for the kid who's doing it, right?
Yep.
So, and you got to learn all the movements of how to do
with the guide itself.
do the guide on it. Yeah.
That's a whole other drill movement just for being a guide.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's learning
Right.
something different than all the other kids do.
And now I'm just asking. You did a lot of series as a drill instructor. You ever have a short guide?
Rarely.
I do have a short guide. That's why I asked the question. So part of it is if you think you're going to be the guide and you're 5'3", there's a good chance probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, unless you're really good at what you're doing and you're good with the recruits themselves and you got respect from them, that could possibly.
and the guide's
be
kind of like the senior recruit there, right? Isn't he?
Yeah.
Kind of. I mean, not really, but he's sort of in charge of the rest of the platoon, sort of. And when they set a platoon up, they set them up from tallest in the front to shortest in the back. Does that still work that way?
That is correct.
So when if the guide's short, it doesn't look right.
It's aesthetically discombobulating. Yes.
So one of the things that is sort of a prerequisite to being a guide, sort of, you have to know you have to be good at all your movements.
Yeah.
You have to be physically fit. You have to be
Expert rifle, first class 50. Yeah.
You gotta sort of be tall.
So Sal and I might have that ability.
Yeah. So, so you said you did a tour as the senior drill instructor, and that didn't work out so good for you, huh?
Yeah.
Transition didn't work well.
Yeah. I was too mean to them,
Okay.
and too many kids complained about it, so ended up losing that billet and went back down to being a heavy again, which
Okay.
that fits me better anyway. I've been in so long, I was like, all right, and this is easy.
Nice.
So,
And then when drill instructor duty's over, you leave with your campaign cover and your couple of flags, and off you go back to the regular Marine Corps.
back to the crazy fleet again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's it's considered a very prestigious tour for
Yeah,
you.
all kidding aside, it's big for careers. It's a successful tour on the drill field or recruiting duty for that matter.
Yeah, absolutely.
You get you through either of those because the stresses are bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah, any B billet you do is going to be a good thing for you in the future, but drill instructors, that puts us aside from all other B billets.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
just different, and then that's another transition for us to go from being a drill instructor for 3 years and then going back to the fleet and being back a gunny or staff sergeant or sergeant again.
Yeah, how was that?
It's tough.
Yeah.
Some guys takes longer than others. It took me about 6 months to finally calm down. I can't be, knife handing and screaming every second I have,
Right.
Yeah, so it's, I had to go back to the old ways and, listening first and not me saying everything,
Yeah.
So it was a hard transition,
Yeah.
but it was good though. Some drill instructors, even when you're a drill instructor, they have a hard time flicking that switch off when they go home.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes.
Like
I
so
didn't
hard on
have that
marriages,
problem.
I would imagine then.
Yes, so they tell you that it's like a 75% divorce rate
Yeah.
Wow.
being a drill instructor, and I think it's 100% of it is because they don't know how to shut it off when they come home. They talk to their wives like they're recruits or the kids, and all this stuff, and just rage all the time. And I'm like, I don't know how they do it because I'm tired when I get home. That's the last thing I want to do.
Yeah.
So that kind of saved my marriage, I would say, being tired.
That and Susan wouldn't put up with your bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would imagine a big part of why drill instructors are angry all the time is because they're tired.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely one of them. And the other thing is like when we take them through the crucible, I cannot stand the crucible. It's not fun for us. The recruits are busy, and we got to keep them busy. But I'm like, God, this is like 54 hours of standing around, and I'm just like want to take a nap or something. Get something to eat.
Yeah. But I mean, if I'm being honest about it, I think the Marine Corps has figured out the most effective way to produce our product, which is at the end of that 13 weeks, what comes in is a bunch of individuals.
Yeah.
And what leaves is a Marine who has a different focus, a focus on a sense of community and a sense of team and a sense of teamwork that's like unmatched by any of the other services. So my hat's off to you guys and how you do it and how it's set up, and I appreciate all the efforts that you put in because I went through it. It's transformational. It makes you into a different person. It really does.
Well, that what they don't see is it's controlled chaos, but it is chaos.
Yeah.
And what Mr. and Mrs. America most times don't understand is it's done on purpose because that's what war is. Why are you so mean to them? Well, because our foes are trying to kill them.
Yeah.
So this is nothing compared to what they're going to see if they end up in a combat environment.
So the drill instructors represent the enemy,
Yeah,
really,
at all
in a way,
times.
right?
Yeah.
Because you have to band together to work together to defeat the drill instructors, and you defeat the drill instructors by graduating.
By graduating, yeah.
Yes. And some of us get angry when you graduate.
Yeah.
Like, how the hell did you slip through?
Well, that's awesome, Doki. I appreciate your time, man. Thanks for
sir.
coming out and talking to
All
us.
right.
Thanks, brother.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
it, man.
Thank you.